what you need to know about LinkedIn. So I am a hip hop fan, and growing up, I used to like writing rhymes because I like the storytelling aspects of it. If you look, does anybody else like hip hop? Just give me one of those thumbs up. Hip hop, very similar to good movies, Hollywood movies, watching keynote speakers. It really comes down to telling a story that people can relate to. When you see like some of the big rappers that came out of like Brooklyn, or like Notorious B.I.G., or like Eminem, who came out of Detroit, they're really just sharing stories. Like, if we have an innate human need to connect with people, and we do it through storytelling, we always have. There was a study that was done on eBay where 200 objects were bought for $1 each. Things like horses' heads and little ornaments like this. And then they got 200 authors to volunteer to write a story about each of the objects. And the objects that they bought for $250 it was in total, they resold for $65,000 or thereabouts, with a story attached to it. Something like, this horse's head used to sit by my granddad's bedside table when he was, writing his poetry, blah, 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 blah. By using a story, you break through the neocortex. You are able to take people from one emotion to another. So when I started using LinkedIn, I wasn't using it to tell stories. I was using it to find people I could sell to. I was using it to make money. And then when LinkedIn started allowing the public to produce content, I thought, oh, this is a bit like hip hop. You can tell stories, be creative. It wasn't long before I started replacing, my evenings that I used to spend writing rhymes, making videos and things like that. So hopefully, some of you guys can relate to some of this. At the end of my little presentation here, I'm going to give you an 18-step checklist, which will help you optimize your profile. At the end of the day, whatever you do on LinkedIn, people are always going to check out your profile. It's really important that it's set up correctly. So you've got that to look forward to. I imagine most of you wouldn't have a clue who I am. I don't normally have this haircut. This is what I call the COVID-19 haircut. I did it myself. It's a number 2. I've helped over 20,000 businesses with their digital marketing. Every industry you could possibly imagine. I was fortunate to be ranked number 1 in the APAC region in the top 20 LinkedIn experts, one LinkedIn marketer of the year, blah, blah, blah. Fan of Bibby. I run a business called Bibby Consulting. All we do is LinkedIn marketing and LinkedIn training. I set an audacious goal. I started my business 8 years ago. I'd actually got fired from my job, was working for a company that went into financial problems. And I got home and my electricity had been cut out. I had an eviction notice served on me that night. And I was $20,000 in debt. And I thought, well, I can't go out and get another sales job. So I decided that I would start Australia's first LinkedIn marketing company. And the next day I used LinkedIn to connect with people that might be interested in LinkedIn training. Made $15,000 in my first day in business. And one of the goals I set, cocky young, dude in his late 20s, was to sign up one of the big 4 banks as a client within 12 months. Westpac came on board as a client in month 11. We've worked with Fremantle Dockers, we worked with Apple, Channel 7, a whole bunch of other companies which you may or may not have heard of. I'm fascinated by how we get stuck as marketers. A lot of the time, unfortunately, when I went to UWA, I remember very distinctly ordering pizza on the internet, and I didn't do 1 unit on online marketing. So as a marketer, I was buying already through digital technology, but I wasn't learning how to market that way. And what's happening is we're accelerating quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. That things are changing on a daily basis now. So, being able to specialize in something like LinkedIn is totally viable because it's changing so quickly at the moment. This is a picture of a horse and carriage. And literally, if you wanted to get faster wheels, you would get faster horses until the automobile was invented. As you know, everyone's walking around like this these days. At the moment, they're about 2.5 meters apart from each other. Staring at the mobile devices, the largest taxi company owns no taxis. Uber, the largest accommodation provider, owns no real estate. Airbnb, the world's largest movie house, Netflix, owns no cinemas. So everything is getting disrupted by digital technology. And I think that this coronavirus business has really highlighted it's accelerated digital disruption, what it's done. And so it's really important for us to master the art of networking online. I think it's important to remember that there's still another human being on the other end of the line. I used to love taking the conversation offline. You know, you look at this marketing landscape, it's so confusing. You look at all these social media sites. Where do you start? LinkedIn is the only business to business social media site with any clout. Most people don't understand how to use it. And the reason is because it was set up I saw the second business plan they did when they did the capital raising. And it's like, okay, everyone's going to put their CV online, and then recruiters are going to use it to find people to fill jobs, right? They never thought salespeople, marketers, and networkers and content and all this sort of stuff would come together. So most business people, they just have a resume up there. They don't use it for content. They don't know who to connect with. So what they do is they log on and they go, oh, look, I got 10 connection requests, except, oh, I don't like the look of him. I'll decline that, accept that. So what they're doing is they're being reactive. They're not being proactive. So they say to me, oh, Nathaniel, you know, LinkedIn, I don't get it. It's full of salespeople and salespeople and recruiters. And I know straight away that they're being reactive and not proactive, because who do you think is going to send you connection requests if they don't know you? Like, it's going to be salespeople, it's going to be recruiters, it's going to be people that want to take you out on a date. You know, they're going to want something from you, not the other way around. So I think of social media very much as a value exchange, how to add value. And the key to adding value is it's not about you. And so if you're writing a message, if you're writing your profile, if you're writing your content, you've all got to be doing it with your audience in mind, whether you're looking to get a job at Domino's Pizza, or you're looking to work for Rio Tinto, or you're looking to sell Bill Gates the next piece of technology that's going to, you know, be able to teleport us from 2.5 meters distance from each other to right next to each other. Whatever it is, it's not about you. It's about the needs of the other person that you're contacting. And at the moment, like, it's quite straightforward to work out what people's needs are. Like, a lot of people are living in fear. A lot of people are living in uncertain times. And if you can, like, bring some certainty to their lives and bring some positivity, they will like you more and they will trust you more. Likability and trust builds relationships. Relationships create sales, give you jobs. It's all about relationships. I always ask this question, you know, how many members are there on LinkedIn globally? There's over 620 million members globally right now. And it amazes me that before coronavirus, business people used to go to a networking breakfast with 10 people, you know, there for an hour. And I'm like, are you serious? 10 people? There's 650 million people on this platform. You can talk to all of them for free. It's pretty amazing. But the key is having a really targeted network. So, like, for example, if you want to be the CEO of Microsoft, right? There are certain pathways to connect with the right people to take your career in that direction. So it's about being proactive and looking at, okay, well, who's Bill Gates connected to? Let's start connecting with some of the people that may be a bit lower down the food chain. It's to start with. Everyone's on LinkedIn. Everyone is on LinkedIn. Like, every business person. Bill Gates is on LinkedIn. He may have his assistant looking at it, but somebody is looking at it, because there's opportunities that come through there, huge opportunities. So it's to give yourself the best chance of success when you're starting out. It's about your identity, your networks, and your knowledge. Now, your identity, the key to connecting with people is authenticity. So if you've volunteered at 20 different charities, or you're a rapper, or you're I don't know, you've got a secret love for poetry, or whatever it is, be proud of who you are, because it's what makes us different, is what makes us unique, and is what will make people trust you and like you. A lot of us run onto LinkedIn and we're like, okay, we need to create this persona. Like, I've got to pretend that I am somebody like Bill Gates, or I'm this person that I want to project onto the world. And you just lose all the authenticity. So they're chasing like something which takes them further away from the goal, which is authenticity. There's nothing wrong with, like, being a UWA student is awesome. Volunteering at 20 different places to help people is awesome. It's something to be proud of. And when you look at the knowledge, you don't have to share like what you know. Of course, no one's, you know, if you're like studying marketing, you're learning about it. So it's about sharing like what you've learned, who you have gained some insights from. When I first started posting content, I was always posting quotes from other people. It was always like the top 10 productivity tips, but each productivity tips would be like, I got this from Tony Robbins. I got this from Richard Branson. I wasn't like an expert. I still struggle with the term expert. And then it's about your networks, who you know. So if you want to connect with somebody, you've got to add value to their lives, right? Like there are some people like I've interviewed, like these names may mean nothing to you, but like quite famous people like Grant Cardone, and there's Stephanie Rice. She won 3 gold Olympic medals in the Olympics a while ago. Some of you may be too young to remember, but when I contact them, I add I'm thinking about how to add value, and I don't get it right the first time. Like when they say, yes, Nathaniel, I'll meet with you and I'll do a video interview with you, you scroll up at the message history and there's like 50, 60, 70 messages where they haven't replied to. It's like trying to get a date with Jessica Alba, you know? But they say yes eventually, if you add value, if you add enough value. Okay, who you are. Let's start with the basics. First impressions are very important. Most of us are led to believe that the first impression happens when you first meet somebody and shake their hand. In the business world, it doesn't happen like that anymore. It happens online. So if you look at through like there's pictures in the background, these people all like serious, half asleep. One guy's got a lot of energy, enthusiastic. Like that's a good, friendly picture. I have a different take on the way that your photograph should be than most people. In fact, let me show you my. Let me be a little bit. Let me freestyle a little bit here and show you my photograph. Now, I used to have a picture of me in a suit and tie, looking all sharp. Now I've got a picture of me in a sneakers in front of a graffiti wall. I'm kneeling down. The reason that I've done this is because it stands out from everybody else. It's different, and I've developed a brand around being different. If I go to a talk and I'm speaking and I know that every other speaker is going to be in a suit and tie, I will deliberately wear sneakers and a t-shirt. If I went to a talk and everyone was wearing sneakers and a t-shirt, I will deliberately wear a suit, because I want to be remarkable. I want to be different enough for people to make a remark about the content that I've provided, and it all helps. Like I'm sharing some insights from that I've developed later on in my career, but this is where it starts. It really does. Like having a boring photo in front of a white wall in a suit and tie, it doesn't make you stand out from the competition. Adding a photograph that's taken professionally does make a big difference though. Like it should be, high resolution, taken by a professional photographer. Go make friends with we've all got one friend that's into photography. You got to go find them and buy them a 6-pack, and you'll get 14 times more views than somebody who doesn't bother doing that. Your headline at the top here is really important. So most people will put like student at UWA. Okay. Now, if you're looking to connect with a particular target audience, let's say you want to work in the mining industry, or you want to interview, you want to find a mentor, or you want to whatever you want to achieve, you've got to think, is that person going to be searching for a student at UWA? Because if they're not, then what you want to do is change the headline to be in the language of the person who would be seeking out what you do. If you're looking for internship, for example, in a digital marketing agency, you would put digital marketing agency intern. What I would try to avoid is putting seeking internship or looking for internship. That makes you look like you're not in demand. You want to kind of appear like you're in demand. It's not lying. If you say that if you put that as your headline, no one said there's any rules about what your headline says. If your headline says the role that you want to fulfill, that's totally cool. Just be creative about it. Keywords are really important to being found. This is the impact it has. I don't know if you can see that, but when we optimized a LinkedIn profile for keywords. This particular lady went from 0 views every day to 91 views in a day. So it really does have a big impact. Google searches account for 40% of profile views. So what that means is, like, if you've applied for a job, for example, what people generally do to find out a bit about you is they Google your name. And if your LinkedIn profile is optimized correctly, it will show up at the top of the search results. Social media always does. If you don't optimize your LinkedIn, then it's probably going to be your Instagram or your Facebook, which may not be the best impression. I don't know. But Google searches account for 40% of profile views. So like, if you think about it, if somebody's searching your name, what stage are they in the journey? If you are applying for a job, they're probably already considering you. So it's quite important that what you control what they find when they get to your profile. And if you want to stand out from the crowd, give people a reason not to forget you. So that's what Richard Branson said. Richard Branson is the most followed person on LinkedIn, and he built a empire of companies, 400 companies in total, through exceptional marketing. When he started his airline, he literally got Boeing to lend him the airplanes. He failed all the safety tests on the first flight, but he was an exceptional marketer, and he knew how to get people's attention and get them to remember him. Because if you're not remarkable, I want you guys to remember this, if you're not remarkable, you're boring. That's the way it works online. People won't remember you if you're not if you don't stand out. Get your profile 100% complete. LinkedIn will reward you and give you more visibility if your profile is complete. Make sure they guide you through this. It's quite straightforward. You may have heard of social proof before. So a little bit like going back to the hip hop analogy. If you're at an Eminem concert, right? And everyone's going, Slim Shady, Slim Shady, Slim Shady. And you're in the middle of that audience and you're like, Slim Shady, right? How much support are you going to get? Like, you're not going to be very popular, right? Social proof. Crowds follow crowds online. It's a huge, huge herd mentality. It's the reason why when most people go to your Instagram profile, the first thing they look is how many followers you have. Because then they're like, okay, well, if it's all right with them, then it's all right with me. And so you want to create the same thing on your LinkedIn profile. So like, if you're connected with all of Bill Gates' mates and you send him a connection request, he's way more likely to accept your connection request because he's like, oh, well, Donald Trump's hanging out with him. Look, Warren Buffett's mates with him. If you are looking for advice on how to keep your houseplants alive, for example, you find 2 articles. One has been tweeted 5 times. Another one's been tweeted 500 times. Which one do you read? The one that's been tweeted 500 times because of social proof alone. You picked it because of the number. The content, how good it is, may have little to do with the actual content. So your social network is important to grow it, but I want you to grow it in a targeted manner. Find out what your objective is. Like if you have... if you're going to spend 8 hours on LinkedIn in the next in the next week, spend 5 hours of it planning. And this is your social network, right? These are the people that, if you've already got a LinkedIn profile, you're connecting with people this is your social network here. It's a tip of the iceberg. And the value is in connecting with the people that they're connected to. You'll find that when you do a search, you'll see your first degree connections, which is the people on top of the water, and then the second degree connections, which are the people below the iceberg. So that's the closest thing to a referral that you can get. So again, Bill Gates example, if you're friends with a lot of his mates, he's more likely to connect with you. Now, this one, take with a pinch of salt for the next few months. Take the conversation offline. You want to take the conversation off LinkedIn onto a Zoom call, or like this is a good idea, or Google Hangouts. If you're going to get into a business discussion or a discussion about a job or a discussion about someone mentoring you or discussion about doing a podcast, you don't want to be doing it on LinkedIn because you lose control. You want to take it to the next level, which is face-to-face interaction, a bit like this. Excuse me. Abraham Lincoln also had a similar sort of approach to planning. and he said he would spend 4 hours of the 6 hours he takes to chop down a tree sharpening his axe. He doesn't look very happy there, but it seems to be, he's miserable in every photograph you can find. Okay, now I know we're all busy. LinkedIn in 15 minutes a day. This is my little guideline. Find content to share. Send connection requests. Look at who liked or commented on your posts. Send connection requests to people who liked and commented on your post to build the relationship. By the way, if somebody takes the time to comment on your post, on your content, that is value. Like, they've just given you some value. That means your content will get seen by more people. They've invested time to acknowledge what you've written. Make sure you always reply to them. In content marketing, that's the most important part of the whole thing, is looking after those first few people that comment. You'll find that if you look after them well enough and you find out what they're really interested in and how you can really provide value, what's truly meaningful to them, that your audience will start to grow. And if you keep doing that, you get to a point where, like, I mean, I've got 35,000 people following me, and I just did that through LinkedIn. Like, why are they following me? Because I've built a relationship with them, found out the content that adds value to their lives, and so therefore they followed me. Social proof, blah blah blah, and it snowballs. I'm 35 years old. I got started when I was 28, 29. So you guys could be doing this, in the next 4 or 5 years easily. Convert prospects to offline discussions, endorse people and recommend people. Again, it's about adding value. So it's about being unselfish. Like, the reason that most people suck at social media is because they're selfish and they're impatient. They want, like, the return now. They want it tomorrow. They're like, what do you mean? There's no, like, secret overnight automation fix to, growing my network to 35,000 followers? No, there's not. Like, to add value, you actually have to put in the time to care enough to help people. So what I mean by recommend is, if you go to a Zoom call and there's an awesome speaker with a wicked haircut that talks about Biggie a lot, hop on his profile and just, like, drop him a recommendation, say, you're a legend, mate. 18-step profile optimization checklist. You will find that at, what's going on here? bibbyconsultinggroup.com.au/free gift. I'll just share with you, like, quickly. I know I've got a few more minutes, unless our waves shakes his head at me. I'll show you a couple pieces of, thanks, mate. I'll show you a couple of things I've pulled together. There was this Instagram expert, which I caught up with, found out that she also adds value through Instagram. We decided to tour the country doing LinkedIn versus Instagram. You can see that 836 attendees we got in Sydney, similar number in Melbourne and Perth, all through social media. In the last 90 days, 4,651 people have looked at my LinkedIn profile. Bit down, I haven't been as active as I normally am. Yeah, it's 5,000 people. I don't know. It seems like a lot. This is an example of some of the articles. Like, so this isn't an article about marketing, and who you surround yourself with is who you become. This is something that I believe in, and I believe that, who you hang out with is really important. And I'm just sharing my thoughts on it. But, like, what are the stats here? Okay, look, 764 shares, 358 comments, 7,303 likes, 15,222 people read it, because they can relate to it, right? Like, people, we're all human, I'm using the same quote in this article. That's funny. Give me 6 out. There we go. So look, this is something I believe. If you believe in something, whether it has to do with what you do as a career or not, write about it. You'll find that there's other human beings that will relate to it, that'll share it and comment, and it'll build your authority, build your brand, your personal brand, and it'll help you in all areas of your life. I use live video every Monday night. I go live at 6 p.m. Sometimes I interview various entrepreneurs. I have a series called, that's me going live, having a bit of fun. I have a series called LinkedIn Heroes. where I interview entrepreneurs making an impact. I have another one called Ask Nat. You'll notice they're all hashtags. Hashtags is how you find a library of content on LinkedIn. So Ask Nat's really cool because like basically what people do is they post the questions and they use the hashtag Ask Nat. I see it, and then I post a video answering it basically. So it's a really easy way for me to produce a lot of content. Yeah, so I do a lot of videos, I do a lot of images, do a lot of copywriting. But where I make most of my money, to be honest with you, is direct messaging. So like I find the person that I want to interview, or I want to sign up as a client, or I want to do business with, I find them here. And what I do, when I use this search bar, I don't just type in keywords randomly. You'll get a lot of value out of this. This is probably the most important part of the whole talk so far, is you go to all filters, right? And so you can focus on people that know the same people you do by clicking second degree connections. You can focus on Australia. You can, narrow down people in the internet industry. You can narrow down by company if you want to, and then job title. So like if you want to connect with, say, like the head of marketing, at people in the internet industry, like they'll all start showing up. But it's not just the heads of marketing, it's the heads of marketing that know the same people that you do. So you've got all these 183 shared connections. The chances of him like saying, yeah, what's up, it's pretty high because he knows so many of the same people. That's sort of like the direction you want to head. Just try to avoid like connecting with anyone and everyone, and being everyone to everything to everyone, if that makes sense. I think that's probably a good place for me to wrap up and invite the audience to ask some questions.